What's going on, y'all? My name is Gamer on a Budget, and I am, well, a gamer on a budget. Too often, when I talk to my friends who game and compare that experience to the professional reviewers of YouTube and the big podcasters, the biggest disconnect I see and feel is the sheer number of new games everyone is playing. For example, I bought and played 4 brand new games in 2023, and that stretched my budget well beyond thin in terms of my budget for this hobby. We all understand that this is an expensive hobby, but 4 full-priced games runs you $280 in this generation, $70 a piece. And even as a full-time working adult, by the time I'm done with bills, loan payments, feeding myself, and whatever other emergencies happen in a given time period, it limits both budget and playtime. And I know I'm not the only one who feels like the industry can leave them in the dust sometimes. Therefore, for 2024, I'm going to play and review at least one of the monthly PlayStation Plus Essential games Sony gives out each month. Now, from the recent Insomniac leaks, we know that only 40 to 50% of PlayStation owners actually engage with these monthly games, and I know I've forgotten about them on more than one occasion. But this is a way I can engage in my favorite hobby and keep my budget for only the releases I'm most excited for this year, like Rise of the Ronin or Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Remember, these are all free to add to your library each month, and you will have access to them so long as you have an active PS Plus Essential subscription. For January 2024, Sony gave all PS Plus users Evil West, A Plague Tale Requiem, and Nobody Saves the World. I've heard great things about all of these games, for varying reasons. Evil West, however, I had heard was a return to the great AA shooters akin to the Xbox 360 era. Now, I'll get into more details on that later. Regardless, this game sounded the most like my style, so without further ado, let's jump in. So, a few key details about Evil West. One, it's made by Flying Wild Hog, published by Focus Entertainment. You can look up their work to really get a feel for the kinds of games that they make. But this is a third-person action, hyper-linear story with only some hidden areas in the hubs that you traverse. Quite often there are no points of return, or at the very least there's limitations to backtracking within each level. Now, I spent just less than 10 hours on this game. Got most of the secrets. It is built for a New Game Plus, and that will reveal more and more as you play. For a synopsis of the game, it's a cowboy melee-based vampire hunting game that spans the Western and vampiric genres and does each better than if they were on their own. It's a perfect peanut butter and jelly sandwich of a game. You play as Jesse Rentier of the Rentier Institute. After the opening mission and tutorial hubs, you return to your father, who runs this anti-sanguisuge training outfit. Now, you probably had the same question I had playing. What in the hell is a sanguisuge? Well, that's never directly answered. So if I had to Google it, you should too. Your family specializes in... I'm just kidding. Sanguisuge, by definition, refers to leeches. It's a type of leech. But throughout the game, it's used to refer to basically any and every evil creature that you face. Now, your family and the Institute specializes in the termination of all manner of evil mythological creatures, from highborn vampires to lowly leech beasts. There's not all that much to spoil, quite frankly, in terms of the plot. Each mission sends you to a new hub area, which progresses you through a linear pathway balancing exploration, combat, and progression in a 1-2-3 combo, so you're never bored. One thing to mention on this mission-based style of game is how consistent the devs were in their timing. Each one took me on average 30 minutes to complete, on the dot. It was nice when about halfway through the game, I could accurately gauge exactly how much more time I needed per level. Whether you're trying to finish up before beginning homework, or if you're like me and a full-grown adult with responsibilities, knowing the time commitment can make things much more surmountable than most new games. I like to keep it positive, so I'm going to start off with the things that I like about this game. I really like that the combat was melee driven, with many ranged weapons to choose from. The ranged weapons balance a variety of ammo-based and cooldown-based gear to always keep the engagements fresh. The enemy variety was diverse enough to create fairly unique encounters, although most can be summed up as 1 or 2 brutes, 8 to 10 normal enemies, ranged and melee, and some third type that varies. Sometimes that third variant is the environment itself, like when you're traversing the oil field. I love how straightforward this game is. Too many games nowadays insist on creating some giant open world with frivolous side quest after frivolous side quest. Evil West feels, in the best way possible, like a proper Xbox 360 PS3 game. It's polished while not feeling overdone, its combat is deep without being overwhelming, and its story is perfectly adequate while emphasizing the creative world they dreamt up. If there's one thing this game is, it's balanced. Now, there's only a couple of things worth mentioning that I didn't really like about the game. First is that the enemies were incredibly spongy. This was actually the main reason I played the game on story difficulty. I didn't find the differences compelling enough to complete the game on hard or even normal if all it does is make the enemies have more health. That may be a slight oversimplification, but not by much. Truth be told, even on story difficulty, juggling the sheer number of enemies the game throws at you, as well as balancing the different combat styles available, gave me more than enough to do and was more than satisfactory. Next up, I want to give you guys a couple of comparisons in which you can gauge this game against. In many aspects of this game actually reminded me of the old Gears of War trilogy. The third-person, slightly over-the-shoulder look, which is actually indicative of a lot of Sony's first-party games over the last decade. But the uber-macho manliness of the field agents you get with Rentier and Gravener, the balancing of multiple weapons depending on the type of engagement. Now, the main place these games differentiate is cover. There is zero cover in this game to take advantage of. You can dodge, you can fully roll out of the way, or you can counter with a well-placed and timed shot at a highlighted weak point of an enemy. This actually feels much closer to Doom Eternal. It's a much higher paced FPS than Gears. Evil West continues in that similarity with health and energy pickups exclusively coming from kills in combat, though. It encourages, even forces you to continue playing in a more aggressive style even when you're low on health. And the last comparison I really want to make is purely to the content of the game's plot. I have never felt more like Van Helsing. Some may not remember, but this is a peak 2000s movie from Hugh Jackman. And I'm sure I'm speaking to some folks out there who got their vampire slaying itch from that masterpiece, but I really can't emphasize that enough. You really do feel like a cowboy Van Helsing. Now, there's two aspects of this game I haven't got a chance to explore. The first being the multiplayer option. However, I'd be remiss if I didn't compliment Flying Wild Hog for adding an online co-op mode for people to play through the campaign together. The main drawback of this is only one user can actually advance their campaign percentage, advance their character, and is that a pretty annoying restraint? Absolutely. However, if somebody has completed already and simply wants to help out a friend or treat it like a New Game Plus, it'll work just fine. The other area I haven't touched is actually the New Game Plus. I'm not super big on New Game Pluses replaying what I just played. However, this multiplayer actually motivates me to Get one of my friends. It's a free game. Get one of my friends online. Play through it together. I think that'd be a perfect way to do a new game plus. To finish up, Evil West was exactly what I wanted it to be, as well as exactly what I want out of a PlayStation Plus game. I had a surprisingly fun time with the combat. The characters really didn't stop making me laugh. I even cared for some of the deaths along the way. And all this without mentioning what a fun take and a pair of overused genres. Vampire stories are so played out. It's an inherent cliche, and Westerns have a reputation so shot outside of Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption 2. They're thought of as silly spaghetti Western movies. And somehow they melded the two genres in such a seamless way that I found myself enthralled in the world and in the Rentier Institute. PlayStation Plus Essential has often been overlooked by many people, myself included. The experiment I plan to run this year by playing at least one of these games a month, if really for myself. I complain and complain about having nothing to play, yet Sony gives out 2 to 3 games a month for free. I know technically not free, they're included in the price of the service, but that's too annoying to say every time. So for our purposes, it's free. I spend too much time assuming I know what's good and what's not, and I, like all gamers, want to expand my horizons. There's an unbelievable amount of games out there that I know I will never play. Time is a big factor, but the other main factor is budget. And this is a very expensive hobby, so I'm going to be playing through these free games, maybe go through some of the PS Plus backlogs, and some more games that I find on sale. I'll create a guide and hopefully find some gems that can give our wallets a little slack without sacrificing a thing we all love. So, thanks for watching if you made it this far. This is the first video on the channel, so I don't expect many people made it to the end. Regardless, I'm excited to keep playing games. Hopefully I get some feedback. I'm open to it, and I'll see y'all next time.